Welcome back. And I hope this really is a welcome back, because you better have turned this tape off and done this exercise. Otherwise, I will come find you. Okay, now, if I seem too obnoxious, I apologize. I'm just trying to have some fun. Back to our story. What are 5 emotions that you have on a regular basis that are really empowering? What were they? And question is, what did you learn? What did you find out by making this list again? Did you discover, for example, that there's a consistent set of gestures or motions or ways of looking at the world that all these emotions have in common? I don't know if you noticed that or not. You may have, you may not have. Did you happen to notice by any chance what the triggers were that created these positive emotions? In other words, what were some of the anchors in your environment that fired these off? If not, you might want to put some thought into that. Because one of the things I want you to begin to pay attention to, and what we're going to work on tomorrow, is how to create environmental stimuli. There's a nice big word for us. In other words, anchors, triggers in our environment that will automatically cause us to fire off these positive rituals. In other words, what are some things we can set up in our environment that'll make us feel good on an ongoing basis? We've been taught for years that Winston tastes good like a, and we say cigarette should, even though we know it's not true, and even though it's been off the air for 14 years, as we've already stated. We've already learned to trigger by certain expressions on people's faces, certain emotions in our body. Didn't your mother or father have a certain look they could give you that the minute you saw it, instantly you'd have what we call a ritual change, where you would immediately fire off inside of yourself a set of pictures, feelings, and emotions that didn't feel so hot? So the bottom line is there are already anchors in our environment. And tomorrow what we're going to focus on is how to create anchors. But for right now, I want you to discover what are firing off these rituals. So what we've done so far is this. 1, we've identified the fact that our consistent emotions basically shape our character and destiny. 2, we've identified that these emotions that we have on a regular basis are not the result of happenstance, but are the result of specific actions we take on a regular basis. In other words, habits or rituals that we do over and over again in order to feel these emotions. No, you can't just all of a sudden get an emotion. You have to do something. And if you have that emotion a lot, you have to do that situation over and over again, and it has become a ritual. 3, we've identified what are 5 of the most limiting rituals you run on yourself. What are 5 of the things you do over and over again in order to create some of these negative emotions? And now that you know what they are, you can identify them. So if you start to get depressed, you go, oh, I'm running my depression ritual again. And then you can decide, do I want to be depressed? Or would I rather run a ritual called learning, or a ritual called excitement, or a way of running my brain, or a ritual that will create for me a sense of drive and motivation? You literally will have the choice to pick these out. And now you can literally identify it. See, a lot of people go, I am depressed. Well, that's pretty exciting. So I thought you were Tony Robbins. I thought your name was somebody else. But now you're telling me this is who you are? No, what you mean is right now I am running my depression ritual. There's a big difference, isn't there? See, if you start holding that you are depression or you are angry or you are something, that's your whole world. I hope you're a lot more than any singular emotion you might feel in a particular moment. We don't want to take emotions and turn them into our identity. Does that make sense? Because that's when you really begin to destroy your own self-image and disempower you. It's the quickest way to destroy your ability to use personal power, is to identify yourself with a set of limiting emotions. And that's what a lot of people do. I am a failure. One of the biggest gross generalizations we can make. What you might say is, my present rituals are not giving me the results I want. Or I'm running a ritual on myself right now that makes me feel bad, and I call that feeling bad failure. See, change that process. And that's what we've done, step 3. 4th thing we've done in this tape is have you identify what are your positive rituals? What are the positive emotions you experience on a regular basis, and how do you do that? So that now you can do what I've already alluded to. At any moment in time, if you want to feel absolutely loved, all you have to do is fire off those certain actions. Sit a certain way, breathe a certain way, make the pictures in your head, talk to yourself a certain way, whatever it is you do that causes you to feel loved. Now, I know I've gone through this rapidly, and I know it may not be as simple for you to do initially as I say. And the only reason is because you're brand new at it. Hey, how good were you at driving a stick shift the first time you did that? Yeah, you went, grind, and you went, and I'm supposed to watch the road too? What are you, crazy? But you know what? You didn't give up. You didn't go, oh, God, this isn't worth it. I'll just never drive. I'll keep riding my bike, right? Or my horse. No. What you did is you kept at it. And so this tape is worthy, or this practice is worthy of going over and over again. And let me just tell you one thing. Our own beliefs or expectations about an exercise or anything else in life controls our ability. So if when I gave you the exercise, you said, oh, this is too difficult, or this is too complicated, or I can't really do that, then you're right. So I really ask you to give yourself the benefit of this tape by going and doing it again maybe. And even if you did it well, maybe refining the process, but come from the place of, hey, listen, in order for me to feel a certain way, I have to do certain things. Let me think of a time when I felt that way. Let me go back in state, put myself back in the experience, really be there as if it was happening. Let me see what I do first, second, third, fourth, to the best of my memory, to the best of my ability. That's what I'm asking you to do. And lastly, to wrap this day up, what I want you to remember is that this package is about how to move ourselves beyond procrastination into our really unlimited power. And the only way we're going to do that is realize that procrastination itself is nothing but a ritual as well. Isn't that true? I mean, think about it. Procrastination, in order to procrastinate, you have to look at the world a certain way. You have to think about how taking action will be more painful than not taking action. You have to look at things in a very certain way. You have to use your body in a certain way. You have to say things like, do I have to do this? And there are lots of ways to deal with procrastination. I'm going to show you some ways to condition yourself. But the easiest way to deal with procrastination, I believe, is just put it off. Start procrastinating later on. I mean, they say I'll procrastinate on Friday. Right now I'm busy. I have to go to work. I have to produce this result. Now, if you're already good at procrastinating, then you'll have no problem doing this. You already know how to do this. So whatever you used to procrastinate with, that process, use it to put off procrastinating. You go, oh, this guy's gone off the deep end. No, I haven't. I'm serious. Have some fun with it. Let your mind get a little tantalized with this. See, what if you started having fun with your own brain? What if you started looking at the fact and noticing and telling yourself, hey, I'm in charge here. What a concept. That I can actually find out how I do things instead of being on my subconscious automatic pilot, and I can take control and steer this baby the direction I really want it to go. That's what I'm offering you the opportunity to do. That's what today's really about. So take control of that. And specifically with procrastination, just remember, if you procrastinate, why are you procrastinating? Fear. Fear that what's going to happen will be more painful than not doing anything. It's that simple. So all we have to do is condition ourselves to feel that if we don't follow through, that is, if we procrastinate, it'll be 10 times more painful than if we just get the darn thing done right now. All you have to do is condition that in. How do we condition it in? Just think of all the consequences of not taking action. In other words, in order to procrastinate, what you do is think of all the consequences of, well, God, if I go do this, it means I'm going to have to do this, I'll have to do that, and I'll have to stop what I'm doing here, and gosh, I'll have to probably do that thing too, and somebody might say this, and what if it doesn't work? And so you look at all the negative consequences of taking the action, and that creates pain. Do you agree with me? Is that how your brain usually works? Well, all you got to do is reverse the process. Think of a time when you could have procrastinated but didn't. Why didn't you? It's because you thought, by taking this action, I'll get all this pleasure. So you focused on the positive results you could get by following through, and you made them compelling. You made them real enough to you that you really wanted those results. You said, God, by doing this, I could get this to happen, and this person will be happy, and I can make a difference here, and this will happen, and that'll affect me in this way. And oh, that's fabulous. And if I don't do it, it'll cost me here, and if I didn't do it, it'll cost me there. So you use pleasure and pain, and that's all you've got to do. So you can do it consciously. But I also want to show you a way to have this happen automatically. So you don't have to sit down every time and go, okay, if I don't do this, what's the pain I'm going to experience? And if I do it, what's the pleasure I can't? That's fine. But I'm also going to show you a way to develop a new ritual where you automatically blow through procrastination. And we're going to do that tomorrow. For today, though, your only assignment is this. I want you now to take procrastination, since we're going to talk about it in the next tape, and we're going to talk about how to condition ourselves so that we blow through it consistently. But I want you to take this procrastination and find out, how does it work for you? In other words, I've given you the overview of how you procrastinate, but what do you usually do to procrastinate? Do you, somebody says something and you go, God, do I have to do this? How do you start it off? And that was the way I did it, by the way. I used to use the word have to. I used to say, I have to do this, I have to do that, and it made me feel really lousy. I have to do this, I have to do all these things. And my wife, Becky, really gave me a good education on this. She goes, honey, you don't have to do anything. I mean, if anybody doesn't have to do anything, you don't have to. You've earned the right. You don't have to do a thing. You've organized your life in a way that if you didn't want to, you wouldn't have to do anything. Think about that. I said, yeah, I guess that's true. She goes, so what you're doing is you're choosing to do it, right? I said, yeah, you're right. It doesn't bother me to be corrected by you. She said, honey, the bottom line is you have a choice. If you're doing these things, it's because you choose to do them. I mean, isn't that true? I said, yes, it's true. I love to be reminded of the stuff I teach other people. It's good to have somebody there that you care about who will needle you in a nice way because they care and remind you of the things that you already know. So let me be that little needler for you here as well. Remember, if you say to yourself, I have to do this, your brain may immediately go, I'm not doing it. Because have to feels like pain for a lot of people. Does that make sense? So instead of have to, say, hey, I choose to do this. Or I get to do this. Or I want to do this. And that's the one I use most often now. Instead of I have to do all these things. I say, God, I want to do all these things today. How does that feel? Does that feel different than I have to do all these things all today? I want to do all these things today. I'll tell you what it does for me. In a heartbeat, it takes me from a state where my brain's in resistance saying, I don't have to do anything, I'm not going to go through all that pain, to, oh, I want to do it. All that means it presupposes to me that there's going to be pleasure in my following through. So how do you handle procrastination? 1, find out how you presently create the state or the ritual of procrastination. 2, make sure that you ask yourself 2 new questions. If I don't do this, what's going to be the ultimate price I'm going to have to pay? What are all the areas that I'm going to pay a major price? What will it cost me if I don't do this? And really feel the consequences. 3, ask yourself the question, if I really did this and I'd already accomplished it, how would I feel? If I'd already gotten this done, who would it benefit? How would my life be better? How much more joy would I have if I had already done this, right? And then 4, develop the habit of saying, I want to do things instead of I have to. You'd be surprised what these 4 little steps will do for you. And of course, the last step, step 5, is even if you don't feel like doing it, develop the physical habit that when you start to feel this thing called procrastination, you physically move your body to break through. In other words, you gesture, you move, and just say, I'm going to do it. You use your body as the leverage to change states. That's all I want you to think of for now. So again, I've circled around here, so let me come back. Your assignment's simple. Review what we've done already. Review your 5 negative emotions, how you create them, and think about what are some pattern interrupts you could create for yourself. Maybe one of them is feeling totally starved. So maybe there's something you want to do there. In order to feel starved, you listen to a radio show that says, aren't you hungry? Aren't you hungry? Aren't you hungry for Burger King? Or something fun like that. And you notice that's the first step. So what do? Come up with a pattern interrupt for it. So now when you hear, aren't you hungry? And you notice you're about to go, yes, I am. Instead, you say, no, I'm not. You're not going to manipulate me. No, I'm not. You're not going to manipulate me. I'm going to exercise instead. In other words, create something to interrupt the pattern. Does that make sense? And be creative and outrageous. Have some fun. So your assignment is review your negative emotions, develop a different pattern interrupt for each one, something you could do to interrupt that negative pattern, to get out of the ritual. And 2, review your positive emotions and think about, gosh, how could you trigger those more often and where? Where in your life and when in your life would you be willing to put yourself in a great state on an ongoing basis? And then thirdly, take a look at procrastination and chunk that one down, okay? In your success journal, write down, in procrastination, what do you do, step 1, step 2, step 3, to get yourself in that place? And again, develop a way to break in there. And I've given you several tools, okay? Have we had a good day here? You better be saying yes. Okay? Or you better figure out what rituals you do to cheat yourself from ultimate joy of visiting with me on a daily basis. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow, and tomorrow we're going to talk about success conditioning, how to get ourselves to consistently feel the way we want. We've talked about it a little bit before, but we're going to do it in depth now. We're going to teach you how to do some anchoring and how to condition yourself so that once you identify a new ritual, you can make it last without any conscious effort. In other words, you can install the rituals that support your life. Till then, have fun today and live with passion.